Hi, David, they call me MacGyver. Today I'm going to show you how to tighten up the joints on a double pressed oak dining room chair. All the joints are starting to get loose and the chair is kind of wobbly. It is probably one of the longest videos I've done, but there's a reason for that. There's several different things that have to be done in order to get the chair apart, and then a process in order to get it back together so that it won't become loose and wiggly again. So hang tight and we'll get started. So here's my wobbly dining room chair. You can see it's pretty loose. I'll show you here the legs that you see how that one's moving, and that one there is wiggling all over. Just not good. So I put it upside down on my couch, and then there's a screw that sets each one of those legs into the seat, and it's underneath. You just back those out, and I have already replaced these screws at one time or and another because it was even worse, but apparently the screws broke off and I backed the screws out, but that one leg right there, apparently it broke off, but it didn't break off where the leg would just come out. There's still a piece that's hung up inside the leg. So I tried a couple different things. I tried a little pry bar, trying to get it underneath, just underneath where the step down is from where the leg, and then I tried a bigger pry bar, being careful not to gouge up the leg and not putting too much pressure on it. So then I got the better idea that you just wiggle it back and forth like this, and eventually it pops out. So, and I'm going to show you here. You can see right there that the screw is still stuck in there part way, and each one of these other holes actually had a piece of screw in them that busted off. So I picked those out, and I just got a little pair of pliers and backed the screw out. It was still stuck in the other side of that hole. See, it goes through the leg and into the seat to keep it from coming out. And so I have a little tiny pair of pliers, and I just grabbed it, and they got some good teeth on them, so it's easy to get a hold of that screw. And I ended up finally just backing it out a little bit at a time. Here we're working it out. It's coming slowly. There we go. So there's the piece. Okay. Now we can start loosening up all these other joints, and I ended up getting one of those strap wrenches. I tried to use it, but it didn't work. It just wouldn't grab. So I ended up getting the strap and putting it across the support bar, and then putting my vice grips on it so that I wouldn't damage the finish on the leg. And I tried wiggling it because I know that I can see on the very bottom here there's a nail that goes in, a pin nail that holds that, or a finish nail that holds that piece into the leg. And since I can't seem to get it to wiggle, I clamped it on there and started hitting against the side of the vice grips, hoping to drive that out, because it should just pull it out of the joint there. Yep, I can see the nail there. The other end, there's a nail, already pulled it out. So now we'll put the strap back on here. I'm going to try a little different angle on this vice grip so I can get a little better swing. And that's just a rubber mallet, so I'm not hitting the chair with a hammer by accident. This one is just really stubborn, just does not want to come out. Okay, let's get a little better angle of a swing. This time I'll put it on the front side so I can swing into it since I'm right-handed. There we go. So there's a little nail right there. So we got it out, and then we'll just straighten these nails up and tap them back through with a hammer. Of course, there's one on each end. That and bent, so we'll have to straighten it up. You just don't want to leave them in there because that's not going to give you a good solid connection in there. Those nails will be in the way. So you want to get those out. Once you get them through, you can just pull them out with your hammer. And you want to keep your spindles in the proper order so you put them back into the same locations. We'll get some more of these pulled loose here. The top ones aren't nailed in, it's just the bottom ones. There's a nail on each end of the bottoms. So we'll go back to the trick with the rubber and the vice grips, hitting it with a hammer or a mallet to get them to slide out of there. Again, you just want to protect the spindles so that you don't scratch them all up. It pops right out of there when you use a mallet. So we'll work on getting some more of these out of here. Tapping them through. That one just does not want to tap through. It just keeps bending over. It might be actually bent inside the wood, so it may not be coming through. But we got to get them out of there. So just pull it out with a pair of pliers. Last section there, that's the top one, and it's not nailed, so here we go back with the rubber and vice grips and mallet. There we go. That's the last one of those cross braces. Got to get them straight or you can't tap them through. One more time we try to tap it through. It is just not wanting to come out of there. So if that doesn't work, you can take a pair of vice grips and just crimp it on there and then pry up towards the head of the vice grips and just pull it through, because those are nail gun nails with a really small head, so it'll just come out that way. So that's another option for you. And then these spindles on the front are only loose actually on one side. So I'll take my rubber mallet and we'll just tap it out that way. And we'll straighten that up and see if we can tap that nail out of there. Can't really get in there very good with my hammer. So we'll try another option. You lay the hammer sideways and tap it through. Because you can't get much swing with it the other direction. Just pull it out with a pair of pliers. Okay. Now I'm going to put some grooves in those spindles, and that should make the glue hold better. I'm just using a half round file and using the edge of it to cut some grooves, a couple grooves all the way around it, and that will give that grip when you put the glue on it so that it won't slip back out of there. See the grooves there. It just gives the glue a place to kind of grip on. So I'll do that on each one of the legs here. And I'm going to do that on each one of the legs, but I'm not going to show you on the video the whole time, because that's just going to make you frustrated and not want to watch the rest of it. So I won't do any more of them. I'll just do this one, and then I'll show you the rest of it. So I got all the legs done inside, but I'm going to take these spindles, and I've got my grinder sitting in my vise there, and that's just a grinding wheel on there, and I'm just going to spin it and cut some grooves all the way around on both ends of this. Again, that gives that glue a place to hold. And the spindles, looks like they may have had some flutes in there, but they're so small. They run the other direction, but they were so small and filled up with glue that I just didn't think it was going to do any good. So I wanted to cut these grooves in here to make sure that I get a good surface for the glue to grip. And the glue I'm using is actually a Titebond, and I'll leave a link in the description down below where you can get that. They have two different kinds. They have just the regular Titebond. See, there's the grooves on both ends, and I'll do that for every one of these. But anyway, the Titebond, it comes in just standard Titebond glue, it's really good and strong. And then also they have some waterproof. It's a little bit more expensive, but for inside things that aren't going to get wet, the regular Titebond glue works great. That's usually what I use on most of my furniture. If I was going to build something that's going to be sitting outside or in the weather, then I would use the waterproof. But anyway, I'll leave a link down in the description, so if you'd like to get it, you'll know where to be able to pick it up. So the grinder is just a regular grinding wheel on a 4.5 inch grinder, and I just turn it on and spin them around. There we go. Got our grooves all in. Now we're back in, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some glue. And I got this in an old Elmer's glue bottle, but I actually buy the Titebond glue by the gallon and then just pour it into these because these are a lot easier to maneuver. So what I'm doing is this is kind of a dry fit. I mean, it's a wet dry fit. I'm just putting the glue on there, and then because we'll still have to pull these back out before we actually put them in. You've got to kind of set it in like a puzzle, but this will make sure that there's glue all the way around it and down in the holes. I'll do that on all four of these legs. Get some glue on there. You notice again that I've got a piece of plastic. It's an old tablecloth that I put underneath this so that as I drip, it goes onto that and not onto my furniture. In fact, I just spun that in the glue I dripped. Just used it off the tablecloth. So we got those all done. Then the next step is we will put glue on all the cross members, and we're starting with the ones that are on the top of the chair. Keep in mind this is upside down. When I say the top, it's actually the bottom one, but we put it in there, and then we'll get the bottom one put in as well. And it's a little bit longer because the legs are tapered away, so it's not too hard to know which one goes where. Glue on both ends. And if you slop a little extra glue on there, that's okay, because when we're all done here, I'm gonna get a damp rag and I'll wipe off all that slopped glue. So this is the ones for the back of the chair. See, I had to pull that out, so that's why we don't want to completely finish these. We're going to have to be moving it around in and out, and we have enough time to work with this glue. It's not going to dry that fast. In fact, we'll probably want to leave it for at least 24 to 48 hours before we put the chair back into use. So we're almost done. We just got to do the other side over here. And then we'll have to strap these legs together so that they, will keep all the spindles pushed in. And I'll show you how I do that. As you notice at the first of the video, I had the straps on the chair because I kind of did a test run to see what length I needed for getting around all the legs, but I'll show you how that all wraps up so you can kind of see how that works. The last spindle, getting a little glue on it. And we'll put that one in. Okay, now I'm going to tap the legs, make sure that they're all the way down. Again, using a rubber mallet so you don't beat your wood up. I got that rag, damp rag, just wiping all the glue. Actually just a damp paper towel. You want to get it all off. You don't want that stuff oozing out and looking ugly when the chair's all dry. So just be attentive to it that you get all that extra glue wiped off. After I get these straps on, I'll probably go back around and just check to make sure no more glue is oozed out. So we're wrapping around it. The reason for that is the legs are tapered, and if you just tightened it, it'd slip all the way up towards the chair or to the seat. So we wrap it around, and that keeps it from moving. Won't let it go past that top spindle. trying to keep these somewhat flat so I don't have a bunch of twists in them. It's not critical, but it just makes it a little easier when you're ratcheting it up. So I try to put the hooks so that they're in a space, they're not up against one of the legs. And then we'll pull this so that we get it pretty snug and ratchet it up so that kind of pulls all the spindles together into the legs. Just a little extra glue, and want to make sure we get it all off. A lot easier now than after it dries. You can probably cut it off with a razor knife, but yeah, take a chance of scratching your wood then. Just take a couple minutes here to clean up the oozing out glue. And then I'm tapping on it again with a mallet just to be sure everything's snug and tight. A little extra glue coming out there, so we'll clean it up. Now I'm running those screws in, the 4 legs, and we're not using sheetrock screws, we're using deck screws because a sheetrock screw is so brittle that it's strong for tensile strength, but shear strength, it'll snap off. And I think that's what kind of screws they put in the legs to begin with, because each one of those screws had broke off. And I've replaced them with deck screws so that they'll, you know, they're not going to just snap off. And then we'll take my little nail gun and about a 2-inch nail, and we're going to shoot it at an angle because you want it to go through the leg and through the spindle at the same time. Got to get it in the right angle. We're just shooting one through each end of each of the spindles on the bottom here. Because if those are tight, you don't have to worry about the top ones. And then of course we've got the 4 screws that are in the legs going into the seat, and those go through the leg and into the seat. So it holds them in there nice and tight. And virtually, you could probably take the band off of it right away, but now these little corner braces don't have any glue on them, so I'm going to just take these loose and put a little glue under them and run the screws back in so that it holds it up there, and that glue, once it's dry, will make that extremely strong. Smear a little glue on there and put the screws back in and put her back together. Again, these are the double press back chairs. They're solid oak, and we've had these for quite a few years, but over the years they've just worked loose, and we have 2 granddaughters that come over every week, and we watch them for their parents so they can go on a date. And they had a hard time breaking the habit of rocking back in the chairs on the back legs. And now that they're getting older, it's not so bad. I guess they did it at home, and one of them actually leaned back in the chair and actually broke the chair. So I think with that and us telling them all the time not to rock back in the chairs, we broke them of that habit. But we just like these chairs. They kind of go with our whole dining set, and I've got a couple more of them that I'm going to have to take apart and do too. But just wanted to show you, you can take these things apart and you can get them cleaned up. That's pretty much it. And again, I'll leave some notes in the description or a link in the description where you can get that glue if you'd like to get some. Get the straps off and we should be good to go. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching. Hope that was some good information for you. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, if you subscribe to my channel and then click the bell icon every time I come out with a new video, then you'll be notified. Thanks a lot. You have a great day.